Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're here to talk about episode 31 of Jujutsu Kaisen, Evening Festival, and we're also going to talk about episode 22 of Bleach, Marching Out the Zombies. And as always, I'm here with Raul
Howdy, howdy.
and Ramon.
Hey guys.
I saw this new Jujutsu Kaisen episode, and I'm like, holy F, Jujutsu Kaisen found a way of giving me some Evangelion, giving me some Gurren Lagann, and it totally made a character that I didn't even try to remember his name the first time I met him. Now it's like engraved in me, and I'm like, dude, how did I know this character's name was like Mekamaru? It's so freaking obvious, but
Yeah,
really excited, man.
name.
Don't doubt Jujutsu Kaisen because he came back with a bang. Ro, what did you think about this episode?
Honestly, it's I'm in a weird place right now with Jujutsu Kaisen. I can't even talk.
Join the club,
everything
man.
everything that I keep saying about this arc that's coming up, everyone is just like warning me about everything, and like honestly, I feel like everything's gonna happen to everyone. And I'm just like dreading everything that's gonna happen, and I feel it's gonna be emotional and all that stuff. But so like right now, I'm just like I feel that they're just like with the last episode before this one. I feel like that was like, here, have a pleasant episode of like nothing really happened, everyone just being happy and being friends and going to the movies to see Worm Man. And then here's like kind of the not the prologue, like just what's about to happen. Like this is setting everything up, and then all of a sudden it's going to hit us next week or whatever. And I'm just dreading kind of what's happening or what's going to happen. But it seems like Gojo's very involved because people only want Gojo.
Wow, dude. Way to summarize it in a way where I'm just like, dude, what? Like, it was more exciting than that. Come on, man. A little bit more.
No, it was cool. It was cool. I definitely loved the fight with.
Well, I know for a fact that
Mekamaru,
Raul was not a big Evangelion guy, and then he definitely hated.
I like Evangelion,
and then you didn't like it enough to go and see the other Prime movies, which I know that you didn't really like it.
The other Prime movies.
And then you have said in the past that you did not enjoy Gurren Lagann, so I know like
no,
you missed the reference.
No, you guys just like overhyped it, and it was fine.
No,
I just didn't love it. It was just fine.
I honestly would say it's like top 3 best animes that I've ever seen in my life. But that's not for this episode.
I would not.
Well, we're gonna talk about Gurren Lagann again, regardless, because this episode definitely did an homage to it, which is something I love about Jujutsu Kaisen, man. I feel like there's been plenty of scenes that other people have pointed out that they kind of copy certain fight choreography from other things, like Ip Man 4. There was a scene in, I think, the movie with some fight going on, and I think it was Gojo and Mario, or I forget his name, one of the weird sorcerers. Anyways, long story short, Jujutsu Kaisen's cool. But anyways, no, I mean, I think, like, yeah, we can't really talk about this episode without like just briefly stating that, yeah, in the first episode of the Shibuya arc, it was definitely, like Raul said, it was introduction to a couple things, like the Earthworm Man little funny side story about like that movie, and then they had the little his like Itadori's like high school like crush, or I guess he was her crush, and you know, she kind of lost a lot of weight, she's back, and Carlos in a private conversation, she's tall, and I think, Carlos, didn't you say that you didn't trust that situation, or maybe that was someone else I was talking about? It was like so skeptical of that situation.
I was talking to Ramon, and I was telling him that I sort of feel like she's been put in there by the enemy. Like she might have made a deal with Mahito, sort of like mimicking what happened with him and Mekamaru. Like he might have changed her body type to be like tall, pretty. So I feel like maybe she was put in there to sort of as another spy. But I was also thinking about it, Ramon, and I'm like, well, maybe, like, how would he have Itadori recognize her if he had changed her to that level? So maybe there was some natural growth for her to even look like the way she did. But I don't know, man. I still kind of sort of feel like that girl, just her introduction was kind of creepy, the way she was just like staring from a distance. And again, everybody's warning us about this arc being so graphic and sad and depressing that anything, I'm like, I'm not taking anything off the table because I feel everything's in play. So her, to me, it's somebody that's probably gonna die, somebody that's probably gonna
Oh,
have some
no.
kind of like shock. Like there was no doubt in my mind that Mekamaru was gonna outlive his opponents. So great episode. He went out with a bang, but I just didn't see any way of him getting out of that situation.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I do have a question.
this.
So he got powers or more power because he did a heavenly pact, or explain the whole thing with the pact, because from what I got, he made a pact with them that they would change his body and he would spy for them.
So a heavenly pack is different. A heavenly pack, I think it's something that happens either when you're a kid or newborn, and it's normally done for like, in the case of Toji, he didn't have any curse energy, so a heavenly pack was done to increase his like human abilities. Probably same with Maki, and then with this guy, maybe because of the fact that he was born and he was probably meant to immediately die. Maybe there was a heavenly pact to keep him alive, but because he has such great power, they're like, let's keep him alive. And maybe that was what the heavenly pact could have been, Rose. So there's a difference between heavenly pact and then the pact that Mahito and Mekamaru made together.
Yeah,
Okay.
which that was the big part of it, right? Like that we ended up that first episode going into that, which that was crazy in the sense of like we were figuring out that of course there was like some kind of mole, and they were trying to figure out that it was going to be Mekamaru, and they show up and he's not there. And I think that was a nice surprise to see that perhaps it was a character like you said, Carlos, that was somewhat forgettable. Like I thought he was cool when he was in the exams and he was kind of fighting Panda, because that was a great fight to begin with, like two big brutal like dudes just going at it. But I do think that he kind of ultimately just gets dismissed and you forget about him, and then now he was kind of being reintroduced as like a significant like player and a bigger thing, right? Obviously we kind of are speculating what the Shibuya arc is going to be about, just because again, not non-manga readers, or at least for me right now. And I don't know, like I did like knowing that he did have something more. And when they started talking about the pact, I liked the idea that they were going to give him a body or bring his body back, because Mahito and freaking Geto were already talking about killing him anyway. So in my head, I'm like, well, what's the point of it, right? And that's when they were talking about like that kind of pact, right? Like they made a deal, and so they had to stick by it. Like he helped them out, and therefore they had to help him out. And so Mahito gets him that body, but I did not expect him busting out with all those freaking like. I first found out now that he was a puppet master. Like I didn't know that was what his abilities truly were, which was pretty cool, because it wasn't just Mekamaru or like the one main robot that we saw or puppet robot that we saw. He has tons of them, right? Like that was a cool scene from the last episode. And then leading into this one, he has a big old giant Evangelion Eva like type of crazy
mecha thing.
mecha thing. And I don't know, it was just really cool to see, because it was unexpected to me. Because again, this is a show that I really like because of the sorcery, the curses, the fights. People like Mekamaru, Panda, I mean, and everyone that just kind of is a little weird, but then they do cool things. And now you have this like ultimate Mekamaru. And I don't know, man, it was just unexpected. Like, so the beginning of this episode that we're supposedly talking about was just crazy, because it put you right into the fight. No intro, nothing. You're just, freaking Mahito was jumping around trying to escape him. And I don't know, a couple fun things that, he's powered off of cursed energy that apparently he's been storing for years. I don't know if I got that right, but the fact that he says, I mean, on the timer says he has like 17 years, like 29 days and 1 month or something like that. And then every other attack that he does that's bigger, he is using like a year's worth of cursed energy to do this one attack, 5 years worth of cursed energy to do this attack. And I don't know, it was just really creative of the show. Like I really liked what they were doing with it. But it's a great fight.
Yeah, and I think the word you were looking for was Megazord, Ramon. He busted out a giant Megazord.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But no, Raul, like I was sort of thinking about like that pack, because he's not the first one that they've shown for him to be doing a pack. Like Itadori actually has a pack with his the curse that he has inside of him. Like they made a pack. So there's already like that establishment from the first season. But I was also thinking about like the the fine prints. I'm not an attorney. I don't deal with I do deal with legal paperwork at work, but I'm not an attorney myself. So I was thinking, I wonder how that works. Like they got to get in a room. They have to obviously be very detailed, because I'm like, what's stopping Mekamaru from leaving a letter with an attorney now that he passed away, and that attorney is going to give the letter to to Gojo and be like, this is what the plan was. So they must have really like declared like, hey, I'm gonna fix your body, but you have to spy for us. You can't betray us. You can't do this. So there must have been so many things that we just obviously don't want to see that, because that's like the boring stuff. But it does like speculate for me, like, ooh, like I would have loved to see how a contract like this is made, because I'm like, you have to think of so many ways where both teams, like Geto and Mahito, have to be careful that Mekamaru doesn't give out the information while still like keeping the pack together. It's like, hey, we're gonna heal you. So to me, that was kind of like something very interesting, and I try not to think about it because I'm like, dude, Mekamaru, like, you totally turned yourself into like a first grade. The moment you have this character, like, I'm always gonna be thinking like, oh, Mekamaru can do this and Mekamaru can do all these things, and he just has so much potential. So obviously, you just gotta get rid of him. So sadly, we hardly got to know him.
Well, and to your point, like, he did leave. I mean, he had that one, like, I guess we'll call it a puppet, but we did have that other body with his love interest that we did find out that they were kind of crushing on each other, Kasumi. Even that, right? Like a second to kind of switch and kind of go to that body and kind of give her the message and then switch out. But I think that made more of a tragic part of the story at the end, because
but I don't think that he could, because of the veil that
you're right. I don't know. I mean, I'm still stuck on like this fight, and just thinking of like, again, the fight itself was so like, again, methodical and so intelligent, the way that it was going through. Because again, you're right, Carlos, like Getzo did point out that he did have special grade output. Like he was kind of performing at this like amazing level, but like Mahito was a little concerned for himself. And I know at the end he kind of plays it off as like, oh, I had it under control. But like the first thing is like, he knows that unless you can affect Mahito's like soul, you really can't hurt Mahito, right? But Mekamaru thought of that. Like he thought of that because he shot that one bullet after like, I think his like third attack or something like that. And then that bullet like managed to expand, reshape his soul, and that's when Mahito started getting like scared. And then
Is that only Mahito that you can only hurt his soul? Is it all the disaster level curses that you have to like penetrate their souls?
I think that was just him. I think
Mahito's
that was something that they mentioned, yeah.
Okay. Well, that's kind of the weird thing. So like everyone kind of has a soul, but like that's specifically for him. That's his ability, that he like can reshape the like the body, like through the soul kind of thing. So like which is also part of the problem with Itadori when he fought Itadori, is because when he tried to do the domain expansion with him in there, that's when he like ran into
he touched.
Sukano or whatever, because like inside, like in his soul is Sukano.
Well, he said that Itadori was his weakness because of the fact that even his punches are like hurting his soul. So it's like that's like, which is also
Itadori's at another level with that, So like I love the way that he was like, anytime he was evading an attack, he was kind of like dancing and joy and kind of like falling backwards and like big old smiles. I wrote down the name of the move that pigeon viola that Mekamaru did with all the rays of different colors was like so cool. But dude, his ability, like Mahito's ability to like shapeshift as quick as he could, that was like a really cool scene, because that you saw him turn into like all kinds of things. I think at even one point he was like a gorilla with like hand wings. Like it was nuts. But I don't know. I think obviously, I think that's when he started freaking out. He did his domain expansion, which I always, like you said, I always gotta love to see it, because all those hands, I think, is one of the visually strongest things where they're just consuming everything. And then just, I don't know, the way Mekamaru kind of messed him up in there with his simple domain. That's another thing that they're trying to teach us again, that simple domain is the one thing or the one attack that can kind of counter a freaking domain expansion. And so to me, it's just re-educating me on how freaking awesome the show is.
So now with Mahito, like that's the problem of fighting a guy like that. I love everything he can do, but technically his whole thing is that if he can touch you, he can all of a sudden just like destroy you on the spot. So I don't know, man. I kind of like, it's always for me very hard to like, how do you fight an opponent like that? How do you fight somebody that the moment they lay one finger on you, they can reshape your body, reshape your soul, and all of a sudden like you're done. So it's just
range
like
attacks.
That simple domain. The only reason why it didn't work is because he was already preparing for it. Because he's saying how like he already knows that Gojo's going to try to use the simple domain to stop him, right? And so he said that this fight with Mekamaru was basically the practice, because that's what Mekamaru did. He did simple domain. He gave him the middle finger. Because I don't know if you saw that when he impaled him, it was with the middle finger. But anyways, that simple domain did that move, but then supposedly Mahito knew that freaking it separated his body in one weird way, and he wasn't affected by it. So like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like this is kind of like leading up to that fight with Gojo and him, and is this all just kind of previews of like they know what ability they got to fight with Gojo, and this is just like when we were talking about the freaking, oh my god, the hidden inventory arc, where it was very much like they say they know his abilities, so they're going into this fight already with all these abilities that they think he's gonna do, and Gojo's gonna do something crazier beyond like simple domain.
But I mean,
I don't know, man. This is crazy.
So what is like a simple domain? Like what is it exactly?
Well,
Like,
that's
all I
what
know is that I think that one girl with the sword, like her ability is a simple domain, and that's why like when he was explaining it, it clearly went to a shot of her doing her sword attack. And by the way, like that total simple domain with her in the last season when Maki stepped on it, like she wasn't able to cut her in half. So I'm like, okay, that obviously didn't work. So I was very disappointed with like once you step in my circle, like there's no way you can get out of me cutting you, and like Maki totally stepped on it and she got out of it and nothing happened to her. So it's just kind of like I do question what the simple domain's all about.
I don't know. I think the way that Mechamaru was explaining it was just the fact that it was supposed to be like some hard to learn or very like exclusive like move that only like a certain school taught, and then it's only been passed down through certain sorcerers. I can't tell you that I know how it works, but that Gojo uses it, and that's something that they're kind of getting prepared for. But at least that's cool in the sense of like you're saying,
Gojo does like a full domain, right? Like that's the difference.
Yeah.
Like Gojo's doing a full domain. He's not doing a simple.
But he was teaching Itadori a simple domain, or there is the one flashback when he's talking to Itadori about the simple domain.
Okay,
and I think so. I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like I think we got to talk with the logistics of it, but yeah, like there's something about it where they know that simple domain is going to be one of the tools or one of the abilities that they're going to supposedly use against Mahito. So, anyways, all in preparation for the Shibuya incident that's clearly on Halloween. And I don't even know what's going on. I don't know what do you guys think is going to happen. It just sounds like some Ghostbusters type of thing where there's going to be curses coming out of the ground as the way that they kind of describe it.
I do like that if you've seen Jujutsu Kaisen 0, you kind of have an explanation of why they decided to do these attacks on Halloween. And because, I think in that movie they mentioned the fact that at that point it's because of the creepiness and how everybody's like worshiping all these like, devilish things. It's like it's a level that kind of amplifies their power or whatever it's like they're trying to do. So I figured that's the reason why they keep doing these events on Halloween, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that like what it was? And the Jujutsu Kaisen movie, like that was like the whole reason why like Halloween has to happen on Halloween.
I don't remember.
Okay, you guys saw the movie before me, so
we see it again right before we were watching this past arc. But
okay.
No, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is where it's going, right? And just to finish off the whole Mechamaru thing, because I think the ending of that fight really deserves a lot. Because again, you were kind of finding out about his like kind of love interest at this point, that it was Kasumi, the girl with the blue hair. She's talking to the kind of empty shell of Mechamaru that's left behind, and she's basically saying how she's always wanted to be closer to him, that at certain points she was trying, and at this point she's like, all I want to do is I just want to get to know you more. I want to be closer to you. And then at the same time, Mechamaru's having this fight, and the whole time he's like, I'm going to get to see everybody again. And it's so freaking sad, just the way that it ends, because as she tells him those last few words, they freaking pan out to the shot of like Mechamaru's like freaking ultimate robot thing, like all beat up, and assuming that he's dead. So that's that.
So I guess one of the reasons why they choose Halloween is because it means that the more people on the streets, the more negative energy they tend to produce. It is said the curse becomes stronger the more people express fear, such as on a holiday like Halloween. So there you go.
That makes sense.
See, that's what
I still say it's very Ghostbusters for sure, because they were talking about like the curses being like, some of the sorcerers were saying something about curses being underground and everything like that. I don't know. I guess maybe I missed it. Like, what is going to be the overall point of this Shibuya incident? Like, what else is going to happen? Are they just going to try to take over a lot, or just for Gojo? Because clearly that's the hot commodity right there. That's what everybody wants.
I think that they're after Gojo specifically. Yeah, I think that's the whole point, because he's the strongest sorcerer, and him by himself can pretty much stop anyone. So if they don't stop him, like whatever plan they have is not gonna work.
Yeah, like if you go back to the first season and when Geto's having like dinner with all the disaster level curses, they do talk about a very specific weapon or item, and I think that item's gonna have a big
Mm.
play in this season, and it has to do with Gojo. Like they have to get rid of Gojo because I think this whole thing's being orchestrated so they can capture Gojo or do something for him because it's just like obviously when you have this guy that's just going to stop any plan that you come up with, it's like he's your number one priority, or why even try anything? Why try to take over the world where Superman's going to be right there to stop you?
Well, it makes sense. I
Yeah.
mean, that's literally all we've been talking about, right? When we were talking about the first season, we are talking about how like powerful Gojo is and no one can beat him. And I think he kind of does put everyone else in his shadow. When we were talking about this like hidden inventory arc, it was basically the story of Gojo as much as it was about like Rukia
Geto.
or whatever her name was and Gato and their
Geto, yeah.
relationship. It was still about like that relationship and you know, so yeah, I mean, absolutely. Of course, it's going to be about Gojo, but like, I don't know. I mean, I'm excited because then I feel like you're going to get a fight with all these, like you said, these special grade curses, the disaster curses. I don't know. It's going to be a crazy blowout. Like, I don't even know what to expect.
Yeah,
But I do.
and there,
Yeah.
because and then like there was a lot of new faces that like I'm like I don't even know, I don't even care. Like until I see what you can do and see if you make it out alive, like I don't think I should really try to remember anybody's name at this point.
Dude, and it was so hard too. Like I had to like rewind and pause just to read all those stupid things because they were talking, and then they had
Yeah,
like the little
Oh
titles,
yeah.
and then like because it said what grade they were, what team it was, what grade they were, and like who they were. Because I guess there's a Sennen guy, like an older Sennen, uh, from the Sennen clan or whatever, or Sennen clan. Sorry. That he's a level one sorcerer, and he has a team, and then you have like like 3 or 4 teams with either a level 1 or special grade or first grade or special grade sorcerer
yeah,
Like,
as the lead.
but
yeah.
that's just, I guess there's a lot of things that are not making sense yet because we haven't seen more. Like Nanami's there, Fushiguro is there, but like I don't see Itadori. Like I don't know. Like I just where
And yeah,
is Itadori?
and then just the fact that they just
Panda.
can come in and come out like as they please, that's also kind of weird. And then like what did happen to all those
Sorcerers
people?
can, but people can't.
Yeah, like sorcerers. And then that whole idea of like the people that did get sucked up like a vacuum into like a vacuum cleaner, like sort of like just all together, like what did
Mhm.
happen to them? Like what was their purpose? Because they're probably like 100%. Like I think they're done for. Like I don't. I
Oh
think
yeah.
that was specifically done for something, and I feel like they're either been integrated into an item or something. Like I don't know. And there's still that disaster level curse that we still haven't really know, or like we haven't seen it. I think in this season we don't know what the hell it does other than it's like water. So that's gonna
Oh,
be
the
kind of like
water
cool.
one,
The
yeah.
water one, yeah. So that one can bring a lot of surprises to us. And there's still the brother, the one of the 3 brothers, the stronger one. So even with him, like I'm like, dude, what is that guy gonna do? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know, man. This has turned out to be like a crazy. Like I'm scared, and just to have the whole fact of how the introduction was like the time, and they just kept reminding you like this is when this event happened, and then this is the time now. It's like so cool, man. It like definitely builds up the tension, and that's why kind of like I feel like I wish I had not seen this episode just so I could watch this episode and the next one together because now I'm all tensed up.
No,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure that that's the whole point. I think they're trying to build up the tension and the suspense on what's going to happen. Because, like, at the end of this, well, one, like, how do people even know who Gojo is? Because, like, random people are just asking for Gojo. And that's why he gets invited in or whatever. And then at the end, you see him finally go in, and he like knocks somebody over. And then he's there, but like nobody fucking knows who he is.
No,
No.
but remember the one guy's just like, I don't know, someone just told me to like ask for him, like until he gets here,
Yeah.
we can't get out, and then everybody's just requesting him.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. No, it's kind of crazy because, like, I know it's hard for me not to think of like the disaster level. It's almost like a Godzilla movie. Like, the reason they were created is because humanity, they're messing up probably the world. You know, the world's getting all messed up, the oceans, the forest, the volcano. I don't know what the volcanoes have to do with anything, but just the idea of maybe global warming, but just this idea. So it's kind of like, you know, it reminds me of like these guys are coming in. And I don't know if it's like their purpose is to get rid of humanity overall, where, you know, Geto's purpose is to like, hey, I want to force humanity where all of a sudden the next evolution step is like everybody's going to be born with curse energy, so that we can get rid of these curses. It's kind of crazy. Something that I really wanted to like kind of like talk to you guys about that I caught on my second rewatch, when Geto's watching the fight between Mekamaru and Mojito, and he's kind of like not sure who's gonna win because he sees how strong Mekamaru is. I think that's when he makes that statement about like, oh, he's all of a sudden like at a first grade level. He kind of says to himself like, oh, this could be the opportunity that I've been looking for. So to me, I felt like he was either on the side of Mekamaru winning or Mahito winning, because I don't know if he's planning to absorb Mahito, because we know that he does have that ability when he can beat up curses so much that they have to like, he can absorb them because he's captured in a moment of weakness. So it's kind of like, is he looking for that opportunity? Is he looking for an opportunity to get a little bit further on like the strength level? Because he probably knows that these disaster levels, like if you think about it, they could have also made a pact like, hey, we're going to work together till we accomplish this. And at that point we got to fight each other. So maybe he is looking for an opportunity to like, hey, Mahito, you got so beat up that I can kind of come in, absorb you, and pretend like Mekamaru destroyed you, and that's what I'll tell everybody. But in reality, you're living inside of me now. So I don't know. I think there is a little bit more to get to that I caught on this episode. Like he might have like another side plan opposite of whatever the disaster level curses want to do.
I mean, that makes sense. I still don't even know what the deal with this Geto is, because we know there's something different about him. So that has to play something into it. So I can't wait till we find out more about his plan right now. So I guess seeing the Shibuya incident play out would be pretty great. I was thinking when all those people got sucked into the sewer, whatever happened to them, I was actually thinking it was maybe Mahito, like kind of consuming them somehow. Like maybe that's why he needs Mahito. Like maybe he's going to turn them
into his monsters.
Yeah, into his monsters. Yeah, because remember then the sorcerers were later talking about how he didn't want to go back in there because there was just so many like curses underneath, like underground. So I don't know, man. So it's just
so is Mekamaru gonna come back as one of his curses, like his dog curses, like because he can do that. Oof. And I remember in the last season he wanted to beat up oh my god, I can't think of his name, that one guy like with the power where it's like I'll hit you right in the middle, and you know,
the 3/7 guy,
Nami, what's his name? Nanami, like I think he wanted to absorb Nanami because he's like, oh, I'll be able to have like a special grade curse, like you curse user. So maybe now he got one with Mekamaru. So I don't know. Like that could be interesting if all of a sudden like someone's like a Pokemon fight or Sasori, like here's my Mekamaru, go and fight. Or even when we do talk about Bleach, you know, like that's kind of happening right now with Bleach. Yeah.
Well, that's a pretty good transition over.
Yeah. Are you guys getting tired of that? It's like a trope that's being overused. The idea of like really cool, awesome people get killed, but then there's always somebody that can bring them back and use them to like their will. Like Naruto, I feel like kind of like set the ground for like, all right, let's never do this again.
Well, I mean, in Naruto, I remember it was something that for me was great because I was just being introduced to these awesome characters, and then you start seeing the Hokages come back. And that was absolutely great. And then obviously once his dad came back, then it was even better because then it had like emotional attachment, all this stuff. But no, like, yeah, you're right. Like, I think it is something that is used quite often in some anime. And I don't know, I think within the idea of you have sorcery and you have some like crazy abilities, like it always makes sense that you would want to bring people back from the dead. Mm-hmm. Like, right? Yeah. Again, we're going to talk about Bleach in a little bit, and that's exactly what's going on. We've seen that so many times in this like 1,000-year blood war arc, and I don't know, it's just like, I guess it's a smart thing to do. Like, wouldn't it make sense for you? Like, there's plenty of other places that do it, like movies too, like bring back like old champions and stuff to fight for you because they got the experience.
Yeah. So and I mean, obviously, you mentioned how that one girl and Mekamaru probably could have had a thing with each other. So it's like he could use this Mekamaru dog curse if he does still have him to like be like, well, you're not gonna fight Mekamaru, right? Because you clearly have feelings for him. So yeah, I could totally see that happening. We should start placing bets, man, on some of these things. I'll keep a board of like things that we expect to happen, and then we'll cross them off when like we hit them.
Hey, that's not a bad idea. A little whiteboard and just start writing down like our theories and just be like, check mark.
Anything's on the board, man. I feel like anything can happen at this point. Yeah.
From what I've heard and seen about this arc, yes, definitely anything's on the board for this.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you keep saying that because I think people are getting so sick of the fact that people are saying that though. Like I know. Idea. So it's like, shut up. let me enjoy it. Let me Game of Thrones it, without like nobody having to tell me like how great things are gonna get.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm never gonna feel the same way after freaking Demon Slayer. Like this past season was not as crazy as people were saying it was gonna be. So that was the letdown.
They were saying it was going to be crazy.
I thought so, or at least people were like, I believe for a while I was just expecting more. I guess maybe that was just the build up that everybody had because you love these things, right? Like Jujutsu Kaisen is probably one of my favorite ones right now because it just offers always so much like fun and stuff, and it's just like. Man, please don't be disappointing.
Yeah, but it's already been great. Like the hidden inventory episodes that we got, all 5 of them are awesome. These past 2 episodes have been great. So like, let it just be a great show without saying like this arc specifically is going to be like the best. Because then once we're done with this arc, this next one's going to be like, no,
what about the next one?
Yeah, and the next one's like, no, let just let the show be great because clearly they know what they're doing and I believe in it. So like, you don't have to hype me up because I could just see it and enjoy it and tell you when it's great and tell you when it's not.
I just miss Itadori, man. It's like just been getting glimpses of him. That's what I want to see him.
Yeah,
I'm sure we're gonna get more of them.
You know, it's funny that you're missing him because I feel like, and I'll probably once I do see him kick ass, like I'll be like, oh, I'll take my words back. But I feel like out of everybody that has like these power levels, like. His power level to me is kind of like boring because it's all about like punching and like powering up your fist. Where like somebody like Megami is like shadow demons and all this crazy or the clapping. So it's like for your main character, his powers right now are very simplistic, which I hope maybe they do kind of like do something more with him to make it a little bit more intriguing. But you know what? The same thing can be said about Ichigo. So never mind.
Yeah, I don't know. It's exactly. But I think what it is like, yeah.
So the
yeah.
Well, even Naruto had like a big chunk where he wasn't even part of it. Like it was just everybody else. But I think that's what it is. Jujutsu Kaisen is still so new where we're like 2 seasons in, right? And it's like it started being about Itadori and him being able to consume like Sukuna. So it's like in my mind, I still want to get to that story. And I know like this whole defeating Gojo and doing it is so they can kind of ultimately get to Sukuna, right? Like that's the whole thing. So it just kind of makes you miss that plot and kind of wish that it was still more, at least brought up in conversation, like, oh yeah, so then after we beat Gojo, then Sukuna. But again, they shouldn't give you everything because then it's not as exciting. So, well, you know, like the speculation.
Yeah, and it's gonna be one of those things where, like, let's say they do capture Gojo, or maybe Gojo somehow does get like, you know, like he's done for. You know, it makes it more exciting because like now they don't have Daddy to rely on to come in and like solve their problems. Kind of like One Punch Man. Like I read One Punch Man, I see One Punch Man, but as long as One Punch Man's around, like I know nothing really is ever gonna get too crazy, no matter how crazy it's getting in the anime or the manga. So it's one of those things. Like as long as you know this character's there, then you're never really like thinking like, oh well, they're gonna be in trouble because you know like Gojo can just come in and save them. But if Gojo's not in the picture, like that does make it a little bit more exciting, you know, because it feels like that's the conversation they're always having, like where's Gojo at, or Gojo's out of town, or Gojo's over here. So they always have to like put him in another spot just to explain the reason why he's not around to help them.
Oh, so Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I was gonna say the exact same thing. That's exactly what they did with Captain Marvel in Endgame.
Priorities.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think we're ready.
It's been great. I mean, I love it. Can't wait to continue to talk more about it. And you know, I mean, we can.
I'm dreading it too.
I don't know, man. I mean, this fight, again, like Mekamaru's fight was awesome, and like cool. Truly, like my eyes, like Ramon, I think I texted you, like my eyes couldn't take so much of what was happening, and I don't know if you felt that way, but because I was watching it in the day, and then I watched it again at night, and at night it's and another spectrum because everything's so dark and the colors are really hitting you. But just the fact that I had already seen it, like the second time it wasn't as impactful. But the first time it was just like, oh my god, like I can't blink. If I blink, it's like I'm gonna miss something.
And thank you for bringing it back up because we forgot to talk about it. When I first started watching it, I did notice like the similarities, but just from that animation that it was like Gurren Lagann reference. But then going onto social media and like TikTok and seeing like the freaking scene by scene of like side by side with Gurren Lagann and the freaking Mekamaru fight, and it was like beautiful that they do that kind of like freaking imagery. But yes, like oh my, especially that scene in general, like you start having flashing colors, all kinds of move stuff all over the place. Yes, it becomes a little visually overwhelming, but it's pretty good. Just gotta take off the subtitles and just stare at it.
No, so again, thank you, Jujutsu Kaisen, for doing like that Evangelion, like even reference to like Gurren Lagann and Evangelion,
So
because
power
the
chord
whole
and
like when he's
everything.
like screaming, Mekamaru's like screaming, almost going berserk mode. That was really truly like
Yeah.
awesome for me to see.
Yup.
Yeah, it would have been awesome if somebody would have been like mother,
Mother.
but all right. All right, Ro. Let's move on to Bleach, Ro. Bring the Bleachness to this because we didn't get it last week, so I'm sure you're like
Oh, I
super excited to
know.
talk about it.
Um, Bleach is something else. Like it's kind of up and down right now. For so the last episode was like very like mid, as the kids say these days. But this episode was actually pretty cool. I like the whole zombie part of it, and then you finally see the research captain uh go in there. I thought he was going to use his bankai, but instead he's out there kind of
Reviving
using
around
all
cars.
these. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
and then with the Sternritter Z zombie lady with her Bambi zombie, which threw me off because I was like, oh. So now I'm wondering how many of the other ones are also her zombies.
Yeah, and we got a little bit more explanation of how her power works. The whole idea that like they're not bombs she's throwing; it's just whatever those things touch converts into like a bomb. So that's
Into a
really
bomb,
cool.
yeah,
I thought
Yeah,
they mentioned
yeah.
that when she was fighting, but maybe
I
not.
don't
I don't know.
know.
This show's so like crazy with
I
detail
Yeah,
too.
I know they mentioned like
And
when he
there's so
was fighting
many
him, he was
of them
like you
too.
can't block him, and she went as far as like not really explaining like why he couldn't block him. Just the idea that like if they touch
Yeah.
you, like you can't really block them. But that explains why, because it's like you're not really blocking them. Whatever you're blocking them with converts itself into an explosion.
How did you guys feel about the beginning of the episode? Because to me, like again, I don't have that emotional attachment, but I knew that was the whole Ishida like going up with freaking your watch. Yuhabaha was like the whole point of that was just to kind of make freaking Ichigo and them be like, oh no, like this is the first time we see you go with the enemy. But it felt like very Sasuke Naruto, like that whole scene because they're literally being like, don't worry, guys, we'll get him. Like I know he's going over there, but like that doesn't
He's
mean
doing
that's the
it
way
for
he
a good
feels.
reason.
He's doing it for a good reason, and even I couldn't buy into it in a sense of like, yeah, of course, like they're friends and all this, but like you guys always talk not the highest of Ishida, so I'm just like, man, it's really worth it that much. Like, but I guess it gives more story, more like more impact to the story, and obviously they're gonna go up to the freaking Soul Palace ultimately, so it has to
Dude, I
play
would
into
love,
it.
I would love to focus on that whole part with Ichida and no, Orihime and Chad. Like they were talking. Like I can't even really concentrate on that because when I went on Twitter, everybody's complaining about the fact that they didn't animate this like panel where I guess Ichigo brings up the fact of what Orihime is wearing, and like it's this whole like comedic scene of like whoa, like what are you wearing? And then Orihime being like, oh my god, I hope you don't think I'm showing too much skin. I'm not a hoe, I guess is what she says, something like that between those lines. And I guess people are like defending the fact that like, no, they didn't do it because obviously that seems to be very dramatic. But then there's the people like screaming that they didn't do it. And it's like, oh my God, like get over it. Like,
Yo,
like I think Ro have, brought up the fact of what Orihime is wearing to be like, yeah, it's very obvious. And I do acknowledge
don't
it.
say
But
it's obvious.
just because I don't get Ichigo like talking about it doesn't mean that I'm gonna be like Ichigo mentioned the fact that your lady's like showing her boobs like crazy. Like like who cares? People like like I don't know, man. It's a little frustrating to see people getting upset about those little things.
I mean, and again, it was obvious, so it's it's like you don't need to address it more. And again, when the story in at that point is about Ichida like going up and leaving them and betraying them in a sense, like why in the world would that even
Yeah.
make sense? But that's why kind of we ignore it somewhat, right? But I think it is funny that people do get a little triggered about those
No, and
Dude,
like
omissions from the manga.
yeah,
it,
because there's the people that like read the chapter and then when they're watching, they're like waiting for every little page to be animated. It's just like I don't know, man.
I kind of feel like a lot of people complain, and it's probably not even a lot of people.
It's not.
I'm guessing there's a group of people that always want those like pervy moments in for mangas or whatever, and then when they don't get it or whenever they don't get it the way that they want it, then they're just gonna complain, or people are just going to complain when their depiction of how they think something should be done, it's done differently. Then they're just going to complain about it. But too bad.
Yeah.
It's tough, man.
Yeah, like all those people, man, again, go back to like 2000 when this stuff was being done week by week, and it's just like you weren't getting this like crazy detail on every episode that you are today. So I think, Bleach, again, they're following the manga from what I can tell, so I don't blame him for anything. Like, we do get like not as cool moments because they're following the manga. Now, obviously, there's a storyline that they're following, so not every episode is going to be crazy. But again, I love this one a lot more than the last one. I think it's just the fact that the zombie, we kind of like we're talking to Raul about that, like, we find out it's not even really a girl, which is kind of funny because I think Bleach and other like animes have always done kind of like that kind of reveal, and it's just kind of funny that the way they did it in this one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they're talking to her and they're like, wait, but there's something off. You're a guy, and it's like, what? But and if you had doubts that was possibly true from that conversation, there was the scene with Bambi, the zombie leader, and she's literally like, Gigi, I want it. I want your, and then she's like, stop, Bambi, like, you're gross.
Is that what she wanted? I thought she wanted her blood.
I thought it was blood too.
Yeah,
I don't know. And I mean, not to say it just plays really well into that whole context because we didn't know that she was a dude, but it's cool.
Yeah, but
is she a dude?
Yeah, because like one guy was saying like you have a weapon. You're saying you're unarmed and you don't have a weapon, but you do have a weapon, aka his thing.
and later when she's fighting the Rancor, the one that's a little bit more feminine, more flamboyant and everything. Like he also says we're the same, and she's like, what? Like gets really offended. But I'm like, so it just plays into it, and obviously that's a whole like kind of crazy area to kind of get into, but I think in this episode in particular they did play into that a lot, and I don't know in kind of what larger context it really has to do with it, or maybe like we said, it's something that comes from the manga, just got put into the episode beautifully because it was comedic, it was funny, non-offensive, it was just it was a nice little joke, but it was nice to see her in action again though, for sure. Nothing changes. I like her abilities regardless.
Yeah, like this whole zombie army that she built. I know, like the last episode, she was doing like the little skeleton zombies, and I thought that was like you mentioned it was cute, and it was cute, but it was just like like whatever, like like how's that ever gonna beat Ichigo? But like now the idea that she's been gathering this army of zombies, and we see that she explains the fact that to her fellow Quincy's, she has to wait for them to like pass away before she can turn them into zombies. Where Soul Reapers, she can just turn them in immediately just with the touch of her blood. Which is kind of funny that the captain resurrected these Arancars, because if you remember, like I think Arancars are like their natural like weakness. So like I wonder her blood would even do anything to an Arankar, because it feels like Arankars just operate on a different level. So I feel like her power just is not gonna work against them.
I can see that. And this is kind of where I kind of lose you guys a little bit, because I have no experience with the Rancars, right? Like I know who they are and how they're made, but I never seen them fight, and from my experience. So it was kind of cool to see my first like introduction to an Rancor. It just so happens to be like a zombie Rancor. I kind of obviously wish that I would know a little bit of how they all kind of played into the stories in the past, because you could tell that every Rancor that got brought back has like a person that they're looking for. They're like, hey, where's Ichigo? Hey, where's this one captain that did this to me? And so it was a pretty cool introduction. And obviously the guy who's a little bit more kind of sexy and everything, like he was pretty cool and freaking powerful, so I enjoyed him the most.
Hey Carlos, do you recognize any of these Rancor? Because I didn't recognize any of them.
Wow, bro.
But it might have been a while for me.
I thought I was the only one. Come on.
No, I definitely recognize like obviously like the flamboyant one. He actually got defeated by the guy that's accusing the zombie one of like having a beat. Like he's the one that's like, oh, you do have a weapon. The one that's also very pretty. He defeated the flamboyant one.
Oh,
and that's the first.
He's not a captain though.
He's not a captain, but he defeated him. He's the one that like. He's part of Kenpachi's team, and then when he says his full Sanpato's name, it has like this really, like, I can't even really describe ability, but it's essentially like once it grabs you, I believe it sucks all the energy out of you, like all your life out of you. So his is very dangerous. This whole idea, like, if my weapon touches you or grabs you, like all of a sudden all your life gets taken away from you. And then some of them, like these are all very low players, Ramon. That's probably where Raul doesn't even really have any memory of them. Even though Raul has said in the past that when he watches anime, he's sometimes doing dishes or or doing other things around the house. So it could be the reason why you don't remember them. One of the girls, I swear, is the one that Grimjow kind of came in and like stabbed her. Like I think they were like taking care of watching Orihime, and then Grimjow came to not rescue Orihime, but take Orihime, and I think he like put his hands through her stomach. So I think Grimjow was the one that technically killed one of those Rancor.
I remember that moment. I don't remember who it was.
Yeah, because Grimjow doesn't discriminate. Ramon Grimjow will like, he's a savage. He would
kill
just
anyone.
He'll do anyone. And then the other guy, I do remember when they first started invade, like one of the guys, the older gentleman, I think when the one that kicks, I think when they were invading Hueco Mundo, he was like one of the first ones that I don't know if it was Renji or Ichigo fought, but again, I do have recollection.
I guess I'm gonna have to rewatch all.
And this is somebody that saw these like 15, 10 years ago, but I promise you, like at least 3 of them, I firmly recognize.
Yeah, the old man, he does say about like he's looking for the young man with the orange hair.
Oh, that's okay, so, Renji.
Which I guess, yeah, I mean, that's
or Ichigo,
yeah. So there you go. I'm like, one of the two. But I mean, but both Renji does too, right? He has like orange red hair. But anyways, either way.
Because it was just, because there's someone with the JoJo, and I recognize her. It's just again, it's not coming together who they fought. And maybe I could have like gone on my way to be like, where did this person, who got defeated? But
it's bad because I just I did my rewatch with like 2-3 years ago.
You gotta stop doing dishes and watching anime, man. You gotta stop doing dishes and watching anime.
That it's funny because again, I've been saying how like I just can't remember anything in this episode, but sometimes I do feel like the guy from Suits. It's like once he watches something, like it's in me and I remember it, and I will always like. But yeah, like today, I can't keep it together.
How did you guys like the detail of Stern Ritter's Z actually killed Bambi all the way? Because she confessed to that. Remember, because she was saying this like, oh yeah, like I struggle more with the Quincy's, and she's like, I had to like basically drain the life out of her, so she killed Bambi all the way. Like, remember, she had gotten defeated, but they never really showed her after that. We assumed she was dead. But no, apparently freaking the zombie girl went and finished, or zombie guy went over there and finished her off, which is crazy. It's brutal. Like,
well, I remember like they all gather around her, and then something bad was gonna happen to her, and I just figured maybe the gluttony one was maybe gonna take a bite out of her and eat her, but I guess we found out what happened. She got turned into a zombie.
But just for that sake.
So it makes me wonder if the other ones are already zombies.
No, I don't
because the other ones didn't go until she went.
I think they showed the lightning one, and I don't know what happened to the gluttony. There was that big explosion, so everybody kind of got sent off on different ways.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of Renji and the Stern Ritter F too. They had their little interaction about hair, and the one guy is like calling him a chicken, and he's like upset. He's like, my razor sharp like mohawk, and then he's like starts to compliment his eyebrows, and Renji's like, oh, what? Like, you were such a nice guy. He's like, no, too late. Like, you ruined it.
That's hilarious. I love that part.
Yeah,
it's just random ass moments.
Yeah, he's been like, we haven't gotten like him like on a consistent fight with somebody, but he's been like, you see a lot of him. I wonder like why they're so, the guy with the finger, the flame, whatever, they keep showing him so much. Like, I don't know if he's just like, they're so proud of his design that's like, all right, we're gonna keep just showing him because he's just so cool looking.
Well, he seems to be so, like, maybe not one of the strongest ones per abilities, but it seems like he did, like, his burner finger 4 this time around, and it seemed pretty cool, but obviously it just kind of got deflected and stuff, so, like, it just seems like he's pretty consistent, and he is there. I'm just surprised no one's actually beat him all the way to kind of get him out of the way, but, I don't know, man. I still like the little bit of fights, again, with the Rancars, and then Z. That move that guy did, the flamboyant guy, was really crazy. I wrote it down. Did you guys see how long the name of that move was that he did at the very end? It was beautiful, Charlotte, Chohonol's final, holy, wonderful, pretty, super magnum, sexy, glamorous, serial revived. It was crazy. I don't know.
That's hilarious.
I was really entertained by that fight because it was just really like, again, not knowing what the Rancars do and then seeing them as kind of interaction with them and just kind of just beating them like nothing.
No, I mean it would have been cooler because again, these are Rancor. Like again, I don't remember like how like all of them besides the one that I know for a fact. Like the other the other one guy like killed the flamboyant guy. Like I do remember them, but I don't remember, which it kind of sucks, man. And especially you, Ramon, that you have not seen any of the Hueco Mundo arc. It's gonna like like struggle with it. But I do wish that he would have, if this captain was gonna go through the trouble of reviving a Rancor, I wish he would have grabbed some of the more stronger ones because there was definitely some better ones that he could have grabbed. Like there was the number
the,
one,
the
a
top 10.
Rancor, Stark. He was like Stark, the number one. He got defeated, but I don't think he got defeated in a way where like his body like evaporated. Like I think he could have grabbed his body, and he's one of the Arankar, the number one Arankar. Actually, his battle wasn't like that epic, and I think he could have been like on another level. So it would have been cool if like he would have brought one of the top 10 Arankar, like any of the top 10.
Well,
Yeah,
it's funny that we're talking about the Rancor because technically that was an extension of Kurotsuchi's like abilities, because that's what I was kind of laughing at. In the beginning, it was all about him still coming out, him being his like freaking glowing suit, and they were having their interaction about how he's just like that amazing of a freaking character, and he just shines like that. But I did like his little devices that he had for that when he was fighting Bambi, and she was kind of like shooting his like things at him, and it was delayed 3 seconds. Like again, I still haven't seen this guy in action really, and this was still one more thing. And you guys keep talking about his Bankai super great. Not there yet, but at least I'm getting more about.
I wouldn't say it's great. It looks awesome. I don't know how powerful it is, but it's not what you would expect for a Bankai.
And he keeps modifying it, so even what we remember it to look could be something.
It might be way different now.
It might be way different if we see it again.
Because I feel like he was kind of like, I mean, he was like the hidden star of the show because he was the reason why the Rancors came out and they're having this little battle. But I don't know. I mean, what else is kind of happening at this? They have the cannon too that are ready to shoot Ichigo and them up.
Well, yeah.
Oh, yeah, and then the other thing too. I don't know if you guys also noticed that one captain that turned into a wolf or a fox or whatever animal. Wolf. He made like a strong
a dog wolf.
Dog wolf. Wolf, because this clan's like like they say. I know it was like like the wolf clan, the werewolf clan. It was like the werewolf clan.
Werewolf clan.
Dude, I feel like. Man, this is a wake up call. This is an episode. This is like I feel like it's a host. I could have done. It's hard because I think I got so used to like just focusing on Bleach in the last 2 episodes that like now having Jujutsu Kaisen back and Bleach, like I could have definitely done my homework to be like, all right, I'm gonna get every character that came back. I'm gonna go and research the scenes. I wish I'm kind of feeling defeated because I feel like I could have brought more to the table as far as like these are all the Rancor. This is where they passed away. This is this person's name because like I can't hold it together and I promise. Whoever's still listening, if anybody, that it's just like I am gonna be better because I want to bring you names and I just be like, yeah, the guy with the wolf or the obviously there's that other former captain that shows up, the God of Thunder captain, and I can't even remember her name, and I'm like, oh my god, like I'm done.
Yeah, she was cool. It was cool to finally see her.
Yeah, like we got her back.
She's the one that came up with flesh depth.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that she came up with flash, but she's definitely fast.
No, she did.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I can't even remember her name, and it's just like I'm failing, man. I'm like, I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, you even just the fact that they brought that one captain at the very end, the Ice Sword Dragon captain.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I mean, again, see, I have reasons not to know this, but I'm saying like those are the stuff that like even me too, right? I'm watching this, watching this arc, and still so not caught up with any other Bleach, but it's like, yeah, it is difficult to like be talking about the show because you go from Jujutsu Kaisen that's so like involved, the stories is kind of very fluid, and this is to me is still kind of very staggered and very like ADHD, like where it's just not focused on one thing. But not I don't know, it's just in a weird way, man. Like I don't.
Well, I think the problem with me is like I have my favorites Bleach people, so I make it a point to remember my favorite Bleach people, but then there's the ones that I love but I just don't take the time to remember their names. It's like I look like an a-hole like when they come on screen and I can't even remember like what they're like. If you put a gun on me, like I couldn't even tell you what their name is. It's like now I'm like so it's just like I need to treat Bleach with the respect that I do and like do memorize some of these like characters, because even though they're only making like semi appearances, they're pretty like they've been like from the beginning, Ramon. So it's just kind of again,
But
show
I'm
him
just
some
laughing
love.
because. But I'm laughing because you're definitely being very transparent. Again, for those that you guys are listening to us, thank you. But it's just kind of funny. I think Bleach is very difficult to talk about right now in a fluid way. Like to have a conversation about the Bleach episode is not an easy thing to do because again, it is very ADHD right now. Like we have Ichigo like getting ready to be shot up in the cannon up here. You have these guys fighting zombies versus some Rancars. Even like the freaking head captain was mentioning about how the squad zero guy, like what is his plan, right? Because he's about to allow them to go up to the freaking plays. And so it's just like, I don't know, like to me it's still like, man, like I want to follow one thing, but there's so many moments going on. And it's just like to realize that they're all going in the same, like they're going on at the same amount of time is crazy. Like I definitely want to rewatch 1,000-Year Blood War. I want to binge it at once and maybe in English so I can really pay attention to everything because it is difficult episode per episode and really not even breaking it down because we're having a conversation. It doesn't make it easy right now.
No,
it's tough, man.
It's the captain that showed up, the God of Thunder. It's a Yushiro. Is that her name? I haven't looked it up because I kind of don't want to. But is it that Ro?
He's like, hold on.
It's like all I know is she looks like a cat. well, she's really cool, Ramon. I know, like this is probably not the way I wanted to talk about her, but she is really like on a beyond captain, like like level as far as like her fighting, how fast she is, how powerful she is, how she's eluded. Because I think technically she's like wanted by Soul Society, and from what I remember, she was just like hiding in Soul Society. So it's like just the idea that like this criminal or this person that's like people are looking for and it's wanted has always just been like right under their noses because she's just so elusive and strong and powerful. So it's like really cool. And then her and Uruhana have like a really good friendship, and like sometimes Uruhana will make weapons or things for her to use. So that puts her even a little bit more above like somebody else because now she's like
Yoruichi.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about. Okay,
yeah.
I was wondering who she was. That's someone that I completely like. I think I even wrote her name down with a question mark because I was like, who is she? And I know everybody's gonna laugh at me because I'm like, she's probably someone huge and everybody has a crush on her. But I'm like, okay,
no,
she was a cat forever.
Yeah.
I've seen images now.
Well, it's just it's funny because I think like when Ichigo met her and like or not met her but like that whole idea of her introduction, then she turns into like a woman and she's like naked and like and then she was like, dude, like I'm in high school. Like
exactly know who she is now. Just
dude, people that do cosplay as her, like dude, like I have never seen a bad cosplay of somebody like imitating or like dress up as her. Like they're always like a wonder to see.
That I really wish, or I really hope that Bleach, the story becomes a little bit more coherent and starts kind of building on itself a little bit because I'm done with this whole up and down roller coaster of the story because the first part was awesome. And then this one is just kind of like hit or miss per episode. And I don't know if Ishida's going to be a good enough antagonist, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it feels like it's like a tournament arc, where there's just like people are fighting, and I'm always on like I love that kind of stuff, like tournament arcs. Like I'm here for them day and night. But it's just this idea that it's like it's not just a tournament arc because then so many little things are happening right now. Whereas like in the last couple, last season and this season in the beginning, like they were very like 18 minutes for a fight. And it's like, okay, that was awesome. Here now, these last two episodes, they've been a little bit too much out of order. It's like not really a fight. And again, they can't all be like great winners. I think we're still kind of like moving the plot forward, but hopefully, because I couldn't even tell you how many episodes are left. So that's kind of like, I do hope that if there's like 2 or 3 more, like they are working on wrapping or leaving it in a way where it's going to be like really dramatic for us as viewers. Yeah.
I'm terrified that this is going to get to like the freaking, what is it called? The king, the top place. Oh my god,
the Soul Palace place.
The Soul Palace, and then it's going to be like to be continued because like that's how it feels right now. Like I just it's nerve-wracking. And someone needs to take their Ritalin. Yeah, someone needs to take their Ritalin and just focus. Let's go.
No, you know what? That's absolutely what's gonna happen. Like they're gonna make it Soul Society, and then that's when they're gonna end it. But dude, we didn't really. I mean, you kind of brought it up, but you know, with Toshiro, I do think there is something missing because we saw him at the very end, and he's become a zombie. You know, so the zombie has taken ownership of him. So for one, we never really got him with his fight in any form that he lost or that he passed away. So we don't even really know what could have happened for him to get at the point where she was able to, you know, take over him. Obviously, we know that she could have just splashed blood and it's like, okay, now you're mine. But this whole idea, like now, not only has he shown up, but he's wearing like an outfit. It's like they had to go out of their way to find an outfit and dress him up as a Quincy. It's kind of a little bit ridiculous if you ask me, because now they're making it even an extra point to say like, oh, we took him and we actually took the time to undress somebody else and put little clothes on him and stuff like that. But do you think in the next episode we're gonna get sort of an because if you think about it, when he fought, I don't know if it was the steel or I don't know what the guy with the claws, like what his letter was. No, he was fighting the guy with the claws. I don't know what his letter was, but do you think we're gonna go back to that match and see what happened, and then maybe that'll give us because we never saw him truly beat him. We only saw that he was powering up because he had frozen him, and then he powered up. He broke out of his ice prison, and then to me that was supposed to be the start of like, okay, this is round two. They're gonna have some epic fight because Toshiro has his like Bankai, which he's already activated, and this guy's powered up to another level. Do you think we're gonna get that? Because I do feel like there's just something that's been missing with Toshiro that it's like, okay, I need to see that.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know what at this point. I really have no idea what they're going to do because
Yeah.
it's really hard to predict kind of what's happening. Besides the fact that they're going to go up there, and at some point Ichigo and Nishida are going to fight, and then Ichigo and Yabba Dabba Do are going to fight, and
Yeah.
and that's all I know really.
Well, I don't. I mean, I read the manga, so I feel like there is something really cool with Toshiro that happens because, you know, again, his Bankai, the way it works, you know, he gets the dragon wings, the dragon like claws, but there's these circles around him that appear, and he's always said that his power sort of runs out when these circles like green out, and you can see them like slowly like breaking apart, but it's never gotten to the point where like they completely like break down. And from a manga reader, just to get you on that level of excitement, like I know what happens when they break down, and I want to see that. I want to see it because it feels like I should have already gotten it. So I think the next episode has to give me that, because if I don't get in the next episode, then I don't know. I felt like I missed a chapter, and maybe I got to go back and reread the whole thing to find out when that moment happens. But I feel like there is a moment with Toshiro that we're missing, like a big one, like a big, like this is his moment of shine.
I don't know,
I
man.
never read it, so I don't know.
You're at least giving me hope for something good because again, it just seems very scattered. So I don't know. This will be good. I mean, that's kind of what the show made you feel, right? Like he shows up at the very end, and you're like, "But what next?"
Yeah.
So
Like,
Yeah.
gasp.
gasp.
All right, I'll talk to you guys. Bye.